Hiding in plain sight is a popular phrase. We use it to describe notorious abusers like Jimmy Savile and Harvey Weinstein. More recently, it's been used of the former Harrods owner, Mohammed Al-Fayed. People who get away with crimes because they are famous, wealthy and powerful, and no one dares cross them. But victims also hide in plain sight, and none more so than modern slaves. We brush past them in shopping arcades. They work in freezing car washes. They quietly manicure our nails, or backbreakingly pick fruit, or dig for cockles. They wait by the sides of roads, hunched against the early morning cold. Slaves face violence and the threat of violence routinely, and often live in poor, overcrowded conditions. They have little or no access to families in other parts of the country or world, and what little contact they have is strictly monitored. They have no idea how to whistle blow or to have the space to do this. Slaves work long hours over 7-day weeks. Sabbath has been eliminated from their lives. They are usually in heavy debt to the traffickers, the kind of debt that's conveniently never repaid, thus tightening the grip of the gangmasters. They lose trust in human beings when the only human beings they relate to are cruel and merciless. This is what it means to be broken, and how the human soul is crushed underfoot. So why do we not see the misery of these slaves? One reason is that we're conditioned not to pay proper attention to other people in towns and cities. Many of us see more people in one day than a person living in medieval times would have seen in a lifetime. And the way we cope with this is to shut our senses down. Slaves just aren't seen. The other reason we don't notice the slaves among us is because we haven't learned to read the signs. Training is key to spotting a slave, and ordinary people can do this training. If you would like to do this training, to learn how to be a modern slavery ambassador, contact Magali van der Merwe, the Rochester Diocesan Lead Community Engagement and Social Action Advisor. She will be waiting. This training is not so we can single-handedly take down the bad guys like a Hollywood hero. It's so we can inform those who have the authority to break the power of the gangs who control the slaves. 20 years ago, a tragedy unfolded off the coast where I was brought up. The Morecambe Bay cockle pickers, all Chinese, drowned after being caught by the rapid and unpredictable tides that locals knew about. At least 21 people lost their lives in the freezing cold waters of northwest England, 5,000 miles from the warm embrace of the families that loved them. It said at least 21, because being undocumented, there's no way of knowing how many actually perished. In his book, Who Are We Now?, Jason Cowley talked to the one survivor of that tragedy, who provides a moving account of the journey from Fujian province and his work as a slave in the UK. That survivor, Li Hua, has made a life for himself in England. He now runs a restaurant and owns a house where he lives with his wife, 2 grown-up children and a grandchild. Though the memories of that day continue to haunt his dreams, Li has found fulfillment in life after the worst of experiences. The book does not explain in depth how he made that transition. After all, he had to give evidence in court against the traffickers under a witness protection scheme. but he has rebuilt his life after it was systematically broken. And along the way, he would have been helped by the kindness of strangers, the alertness of people who are literally looking out for the slaves among us.